Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I'm Kelly Stewart, joined by Ralph Michaels at CalSportsLV on Twitter. You guys, his Twitter is blowing up. Ralph just hit 5,000 Twitter followers. I was super proud of him. If you guys want a trend or an angle, good God, Ralph's got everything you need. But today we're talking season win totals. CG Technology just released their NFL season win total, so I'm really curious to see who you like. But let's start with, how do you actually go about betting season win totals? What are you looking for? How do you break these down and decide which teams you're actually going to bet on?
Well, you know, CG did the report, and so I did a win totals, a strength of schedule based on those win totals. And obviously, there's many ways to figure out strength of schedule. The easiest way and the worst way is last year's win percentages. I include that in the report just so you can see. Obviously, teams regress or get better, but the win total basically shows you how tough a schedule is, and that's something you have to look at when you're playing. You know, most of the NFL schedules are based on you're going to play 2 divisions, and then only 2 slots are based on where your schedule finished. So a first place team plays 2 other first place teams, a last place team finishes 2 other last place teams. But if you are playing a team like versus the Cleveland Browns, you are playing a much better team this year. So strength of schedule is one thing you have to look at. Other things I want to point out: turnovers. Turnovers are going to make or break your season. 12 turnovers are the key point in an NFL season. So that means you're losing a turnover about a 3/4 of a turnover a game. So if you are plus 12 or more turnovers at the end of the year, those teams, 92% were weaker the next year or had the same record.
So my Denver Broncos not going to be good next year is what you're saying.
Well, Denver didn't quite make the 12 barrier.
I would have guessed they would have.
Seattle was plus 15,
Okay.
Houston was plus 13, Chicago was plus 12. Those are automatics to me that you put a down arrow. It may not, you have to wait to see how many downs and how many ups you have at the end of the process. If you're minus 12 turnovers or more, 79% of those teams improved from last year or had the same record. Those are San Francisco, Tampa Bay, Arizona, and Jacksonville. And San Francisco, just for perspective, the Browns last year were minus 28 turnovers. That was the most in 20 years. San Francisco was minus 25 turnovers last year. No other team since 2004 has had over 23 turnovers to the negative. So San Francisco's in a historic level that you expect them to improve.
Well, also they get Jimmy Garoppolo back, so you have to factor that in as well.
Absolutely. Close games. Close games are games within a touchdown. Now, there is some work you have to do, because if you are leading by 15 and a team scores the last minute of the game, that to me is not a close game. Okay. It has to be a legitimate touchdown
so throw
or
out
closer.
The backdoor cover kind
Absolutely.
of deal. Okay.
So you have to go through the schedule. But teams that were minus 3 close games or more, that means if you had 6 close games, or let's say 7 close games, and you lost 5 and you won 2, that means you were minus 3 close games.
Okay.
You improve 84% of the time if you were minus 3 close games. Those breaks even out in the NFL. The NFL is a league of parity. When you have close games, those bad teams get better, the good teams get worse. Same with turnovers. Finally, teams that make big jumps in the schedule. Teams that make jumps, historic jumps, like the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns went from 0-16 to 7-8-1. That's plus 7.5 wins. In the last 10 years, only 6 other teams have made a jump that big from one year to the next. The following year, their win totals went down by 2, by 2, by 4, by 4, and by 9. To make that big of a jump and continue to make a jump is something most teams don't do.
Right.
So the teams you have to look that made big jumps: Indy was plus 6 wins, Houston was plus 7, Chicago was plus 5. Expect some regression. Jacksonville was minus 5. Jacksonville was Arizona, and Arizona was minus 5. So basically, I do an Excel chart. How were teams' yards per game? How were teams' win totals from the previous year? How were teams' turnovers? How were teams' close wins? How were teams in other situations? I do reds and greens for if I expect them to go up and down. Look what their record was. Look what their win total is. find the value, make your bets.
All right, great stuff from Ralph. Guys, you can get Ralph's 2019 Strength of Schedule report for free, yes, free, by going to WagerTalk.com and downloading it from Ralph's handicapper page.